Is there any truth to the claim that 70 to 75% of resumes are automatically rejected by an applicant tracking system? Hey, and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Preston. I'm a professional recruiter in the technology industry. Even if you aren't a recruiter, you likely have heard something about the current state of the employment sphere. Companies that suffered during the pandemic are having a hard time returning to fully operational capacity. They have plenty of open positions but are struggling to find qualified candidates. With this in mind, it's important that recruiters and HR teams alike are aware of potentially overlooked talent pools that can be drawn from if they're having a hard time finding candidates and filling roles. A recent study from the Harvard Business School has brought into question the effectiveness of computer-based hiring software, especially applicant tracking systems, which are used to manage and sort potential candidates for a variety of roles. The study argues that ATS software filters out potentially qualified candidates, which has led to the creation of a large pool of talent that has been overlooked by the ATS and subsequently the recruiters and hiring managers that use ATS softwares. This has led to a resurgence in the belief that 70 to 75% of applicants' resumes are automatically filtered out by applicant tracking systems before even being looked at by a real human being. So in this video, we're going to see if there's any truth to this commonly held belief and see just how much influence an applicant tracking system in ATS has in what resumes get seen by the recruiter or hiring manager. But before we get started, please consider supporting a fellow recruiter. Give us a like, subscribe, click that bell. It really means a lot. What is an ATS? We've discussed various electronic recruiting solutions, including applicant tracking systems, in the past, but let's quickly review before we go any further. An applicant tracking system, or ATS, is a piece of software that has been specifically designed to sort and filter candidates for open positions. How an ATS works. How an ATS is used really depends on the user. While a hiring manager within an internal HR team may only use it as needed when positions open, a dedicated recruiter will use and update an ATS more regularly to have a pool of candidates to quickly pull from if they fit a client's needs. If an ATS is being used by a hiring manager to fill a specific position, it is likely that a candidate's information will be automatically input into the system after they apply for the job online. Alternatively, some ATS softwares can scan submitted resumes and fill in information based on its findings. Additionally, a hiring manager or recruiter can use an ATS to quickly filter out resumes that don't match a list of specific qualifications that they've set, ensuring the program only returns resumes that meet those criteria. So it is here that the controversy surrounding ATS software comes into play. Detractors argue that these filters are too sensitive and may result in a large group of candidates that are otherwise qualified but overlooked for potentially superficial reasons. The hidden workers. Researchers from Harvard Business School, they coined the term hidden workers to refer to a group of potential candidates that are overlooked thanks to antiquated hiring practices and negative filters in ATS software that automatically excludes potentially qualified workers. The study further splits these groups into three specific categories. Missing hours. These are candidates that are employed part-time but have the inclination and availability. Missing from work. These candidates face long-term unemployment, usually around 6 months or more, and are seeking employment. Missing from the workforce. These are individuals who aren't working and aren't actively seeking work, but might consider working under the right circumstances. The Harvard Business School credits a number of different elements to the growth of this group of hidden workers. Too many to explore in one video. That's why we're going to be focusing on their findings on the applicant tracking system. The study claims that this group of hidden workers is fed in large part by resumes that are rejected by the ATS before even being seen by the user, thus ensuring potentially qualified candidates are never even considered. The result is the misconception that applicant tracking systems are bad for the hiring process and are something to be avoided. While there is a lot of truth to Harvard's findings, the situation is definitely a lot more complex than it's being portrayed. Let's dig deeper and see why the applicant tracking system itself is not always the problem. Are applicant tracking systems rejecting qualified resumes? One thing is for sure, more people are using some form of electronic recruitment software than ever before. Harvard's study found that 75% of employers use an applicant tracking system and over 90% rely on some form of recruitment management system or RMS. But is there any truth to the claim that 70 to 75% of resumes are automatically rejected by an applicant tracking system? The short answer is no. The long answer is that applicant tracking system is only as particular as the user makes it. It is certainly easy to apply filters and reject a large amount of resumes based on those filters. It is important not to make the all too common mistakes of disqualifying candidates based solely on their employment and education experience, because that doesn't mean that they don't have that knowledge and work ethic that the role requires. Similarly, a candidate shouldn't be automatically disqualified for a long unemployment gap, especially right after a global pandemic. Unfortunately, the negative reputation that applicant tracking systems have is thanks in large part due to employers not keeping these simple rules in mind. Many employers filter out candidates based on their previous work or education experience, believing that it will get them better results, when the exact opposite is true. The more candidate resumes that you look at, the more likely you are to find that perfect placement. So, while an applicant tracking system doesn't automatically reject most resumes, it is easy to get lost in one of the many filters that are programmed into them, especially if the user is being too strict with their preferred qualifications. If you're an employer who is looking for a broader range of potential candidates to pick from, remember to focus on positive rather than exclusionary filters, and keep in mind that education and employment history does not always accurately represent a candidate's work ethic. In order to find out more about each candidate, conduct extensive virtual or in-person interviews. This will help you create a more concrete and dynamic picture of them as an employee. Should candidates optimize their resumes for an ATS? Ideally, the structure and content of your resume would come second to your actual qualifications and experience. When employers use an applicant tracking system correctly, they will do their best to ensure that they get their eyes on as many resumes as possible and not rely too much on automatic filterings based on things like structures and keywords. Unfortunately, this isn't always the case, and it is indeed possible and likely necessary to optimize your resume in order to help it stand out and get past some of the more basic filters that are built into ATS software. If you're looking to perfect your resume so you can stand out to employers in their ATS of choice, I recommend getting in touch with the recruiter. If you're already working with one, you can use their knowledge of the role in question to tailor your resume. Add keywords, update structure and verbiage, and ensure you're including the relevant and critical information. If you don't have access to a recruiter, you should do a little bit of research on every role you apply to before sending in your resume. You can go in and tweak details as necessary, ensuring you're hitting points and including keywords to increase the likelihood of standing out in an applicant tracking system. Stay tuned because there's much more to say about optimizing your resume. I'll be covering these topics in more details in an upcoming video. Do you have anything else to add or personal experience? Please make sure you comment down below about ATS software and its influence on resume selection. If you like this video and want to see more like it, feel free to give us a like, subscribe, click that bell, it really means a lot. Feel free to also follow me at Preston_Park as I try my best to also post behind the scenes content daily. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you on the next one.